If you are watching this on or around the 19th of February, I need you to stop everything right now. This isn't just another video that appeared in your feed by chance. This is an intersection point, a divine appointment. You weren't led here by an algorithm alone. Something far deeper is at work, and I need you to feel that in your spirit right now. Think about it. You scrolled past hundreds of other videos, you ignored dozens of other thumbnails. But something made you pause here, something made you click, and I am going to tell you what that something is. You were drawn, you were called, you were led. There is a reason this message found you today at this hour in this moment of your life. And what I am about to share with you is time sensitive. It is connected to this specific moment, this exact window that heaven has opened, and it will not stay open forever. The 19th of February isn't just another date on your calendar. It is not arbitrary. It is a marker, a divine checkpoint, a moment when something shifts in the spiritual realm. And if you are hearing these words right now, it means something you have been carrying in prayer, something you have been believing for in the quiet hours when nobody's watching, something you have whispered about at 3 in the morning when you couldn't sleep. That something is closer than you think. I can feel some of you wanting to click away. You have heard promises before. You have believed for breakthroughs that didn't come. You have waited for doors to open that stayed locked. And now your heart is harder, more skeptical, more tired than it used to be. But I am asking you, give me 15 more minutes, because what I am about to share will either confirm what your spirit already knows, or it will give language to something you have been feeling but couldn't explain. Maybe you have lived long enough to see friends buried. Maybe your address book has more crossed out names than active numbers. Maybe you remember when you could run upstairs without getting winded, when you could read without glasses, when you could remember names without writing them down. Your body reminds you every morning that you are not young anymore. Your knees crack when you stand. Your back aches when it rains. You take pills that your younger self never imagined needing. You look in the mirror and sometimes don't recognize the person staring back. Maybe you lie awake at night in a house that is too quiet, in a bed that is too big, wondering if God forgot about you, wondering if your best days are archived in photo albums gathering dust in the closet, wondering if your moment already passed while you weren't looking, while you were busy raising kids or building a career or just trying to survive. You are asking the question that keeps you up at 3 in the morning. Is it too late for me? Did I miss it? Did the train leave without me and I am here? Not with empty religious cliché, not with shallow positivity, but with a truth that has been burning in my spirit to tell you, number, it is not too late. It is right on time. But I need you to do something for me right now. If something just shifted when I said that, if your spirit is confirming this word, even though your mind doesn't fully understand it yet, type this in the comments. I am still here, Lord. Let heaven hear your voice. And hit that like button so this message reaches the next person who desperately needs to hear it. Because what I am about to explain will change how you see every day you have left. There are two kinds of time operating in your life right now, and most people spend their entire existence only aware of one. The first kind is what the ancient Greeks called Kronos. That is clock time, calendar time. The seconds ticking on your watch, the dates on your wall calendar, the years that seem to move faster the older you get. The 19th of February as a date is Kronos. It ticks forward whether you believe in God or not. It doesn't pause for your pain. It doesn't slow down for your grief. It just keeps moving, mechanical and indifferent to your struggles. Kronos is when you make doctor appointments. It is when you pay bills. It is when you celebrate birthdays and mark anniversaries. It is the framework of ordinary life, and there is nothing supernatural about it. But then there is another kind of time, a time that exists underneath and above and all around Kronos. The Greeks called it Chyros. Chyros is God's appointed moment. It is the fullness of time. It is when heaven looks at your situation and says now. Not yesterday when you thought you were ready, not tomorrow when you think you will be better prepared. But now, in this moment, ready or not, Chyros is when the invisible becomes visible. It is when what has been promised in the dark finally breaks through into the light. It is when the door you have been knocking on for 20 years suddenly swings wide open and you realize it wasn't locked. It just wasn't time yet. Let me show you what I mean from Scripture. There was a woman named Hannah who prayed for a child year after year after year. Every time she went to the temple, she wept. Every time she saw another woman with a baby, her heart broke. And the Bible says that for years God didn't answer. The heavens were silent. Kronos kept ticking. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months, months to years. But then one day, at one specific moment, something shifted. 1 Samuel 1:20 says, "And in due time Hannah conceived and bore a son." That phrase, "in due time," that is Chyros. That is when God said now, not when Hannah thought she was ready, not when it made sense according to her timeline, but when heaven said the moment had arrived. Or think about Abraham. God promised him a son when he was 75 years old. Can you imagine 75? Most people are thinking about retirement at 75, not diapers. And Abraham waited and waited. 25 years passed. 25 years of Kronos time. 25 years of looking at the calendar and thinking, God, what are you doing? I am getting older, not younger. But then Genesis 21:2 says, Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the time of which God had spoken to him. At the time of which God had spoken, Chyros time, God's appointed moment. You see, the 19th of February as a date is Kronos. But the 19th of February as a moment, as a divine intersection point, is Chyros. You are not just flipping through another page on the calendar. You are walking through what the ancient Celts called a thin place. A moment and a space where the veil between heaven and earth becomes so fragile you can almost hear God breathing on the other side. Let me illustrate this in a way that will make it concrete. Imagine you are standing in Penn Station in New York City. If you have ever been there, you know what I am talking about. Thousands of people rushing through every single day. Trains arriving and departing every few minutes. Announcements echoing through the halls. Everyone moving, everyone going somewhere, everyone on a schedule. Now, let's say there is a train that has been assigned to take you to your destiny. God scheduled that train years ago, maybe decades ago. He set it in motion the day you were born, maybe even before you were born. The train has been coming through delays, through stops, through detours, but it has been coming. But here is what matters. Here is what changes everything. You have to be on the platform when it arrives. You cannot be distracted at the newsstand. You cannot be in the bathroom. You cannot be in the food court, having an argument with someone about something that will not matter next week. You cannot be so consumed with yesterday's misconnections that you are not paying attention to today's arrivals. You have to be on the platform, alert, awake, ready. The 19th of February is your platform moment. It is God saying, I need you here. I need you present. I need you listening. Because what I am about to release into your life requires you to be spiritually awake, not just physically alive. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, preacher. Isn't this superstition? Shouldn't we avoid date-specific predictions? Let me be crystal clear. This is not astrology. This is not numerology. This is about recognizing that God works in seasons and moments. The Bible is full of specific times when God moved. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. There was a time when the Red Sea split, a time when the walls of Jericho fell, a time when Jesus walked out of that tomb. Galatians 4:4 says, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son. That word, fullness, that is Chyros. That is the appointed moment when heaven looked at the calendar and said, now, why the 19th of February? I am not saying it is magic. I am saying it is a marker, a divine signal that something you have been carrying in prayer is about to shift from the invisible realm into the visible. You have been praying in Kronos, but God is about to answer in Chyros. And here is why this matters more than you might realize. You can miss your Chyros moment if you are not paying attention. You can be so locked into Kronos thinking, so focused on the clock, the calendar, your expectations of when and how things should happen, that you completely miss the moment when heaven says now. Jesus spoke about this in Luke 19:44. He was weeping over Jerusalem, and he said they would be destroyed because you did not recognize the time of your visitation. Read that again slowly. They didn't recognize the time of their visitation. God showed up. The Messiah they had been praying for, crying for, waiting for was standing right in front of them. But they were so distracted by their expectations, so locked into what they thought the moment should look like, so consumed with their political agendas and religious arguments, that when God actually arrived, they missed him completely. They were looking for a military king on a war horse, so they missed the suffering servant on a donkey. They were expecting thunder and lightning, so they missed the still small voice. They were so busy defending yesterday's revelation that they couldn't recognize today's visitation. And I need you to hear me when I say this, that can happen to you. Not because God doesn't show up, not because the promise isn't real, but because you are looking in the wrong direction when it arrives. You are watching for the breakthrough to look exactly like you imagined it 20 years ago. You are expecting the door to open the way you designed it in your mind. You are waiting for circumstances to arrange themselves according to your blueprint, and meanwhile God is standing at a different door, knocking, saying, "This is it. This is your moment." But you have to recognize it for what it is. I am not going to let that happen to you, not today, not on my watch, because I know your story, even if I have never met you. You have stayed up late waiting for phone calls that never came. You have watched the mailbox for letters that never arrived. You have sat by the window looking for cars that never pulled up. You have held your breath hoping for news that got delayed again and again. You have prayed prayers that seemed to bounce off the ceiling. You have believed for breakthroughs that felt like they evaporated before your eyes. And somewhere along the way, you started protecting yourself. You stopped believing too hard. You stopped hoping too much. You built walls around your heart because you couldn't take another disappointment. But tonight, right now, in this moment, you are not waiting in vain tonight. You are not hoping in something that might happen. Tonight you are standing on the edge of something that will happen. Not someday, not eventually, not in some distant future. Soon, very soon. Stay with me, because what comes next will connect every dot, every delay, every closed door you have walked through. And when you see it, you will whisper. So that is why I had to wait. Let me speak directly to those of you who have seen more years than you have left. You have lived through things that would have broken most people. You have buried friends, too many friends. You have held hands that went limp. You have stood at gravesides in the rain wondering why you are still here when they are gone. You have closed doors on homes that held 50 years of memories, walked away from neighborhoods where you knew every face, said goodbye to versions of yourself that you will never get back. Your body doesn't move like it used to. You know exactly what I am talking about. You cannot run anymore. Sometimes you cannot even walk without help. You take medications your younger self never imagined needing. Pills for your heart, pills for your blood pressure, pills for pain that never quite goes away. You wear glasses to read the same Bible you used to read by lamplight. You use a cane when you used to dance. Every time you catch your reflection in a store window, there is a moment of disconnect. When did that happen, you think? When did I become that person with the gray hair and the wrinkles and the slow gait? You have survived wars your grandchildren only read about in history books. You have weathered recessions that wiped out everything you built. You have watched the world change in ways you never imagined possible. Maybe you went through a divorce that split your world in half. Maybe your children moved away and don't call as often as you would like. Maybe the person you planned to grow old with is sleeping in a cemetery instead of beside you. And deep down, in the quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts, you wonder, did I miss my moment? Did God move on without me? Am I just running out the clock, waiting for heaven, with nothing left to contribute? Did the train leave while I was in the bathroom? Did I blink and miss the most important moment of my life? Here's what I need you to hear with everything in you, with every fiber of your being. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not yesterday's news. You are not invisible to God. The same God who called you 40 years ago is calling you today. The same power that rescued you when you were 25 is still working in your 75-year-old body. The same voice that whispered your name in 1975 is still speaking your name in 2025. Let me prove it to you from Scripture, because I am not just giving you motivational talk. I am giving you truth. Moses was 80 years old when God called him to lead a nation out of slavery. 80. Do you understand what that means? For 40 years, Moses had been a shepherd in the desert. For 40 years, he had been anonymous, unknown, forgotten by history. If you had asked anyone in Egypt, "Hey, remember that prince who killed a guy and ran away?" they would have shrugged. That was decades ago. He is probably dead by now. But Moses wasn't dead. He was being prepared. And at 80 years old, an age when most people are planning their funeral, not their future, God showed up at a burning bush and said, "Now, this is your moment. This is your Chyros." And for the next 40 years, Moses did the most significant work of his entire life. He didn't slow down. He didn't retire. He didn't fade into irrelevance. Deuteronomy 34:7 says that when Moses died at 120 years old, his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. God kept him strong, kept him sharp, kept him effective until the very last page of his assignment. Or think about Abraham. God promised him a son when he was 75 years old, and Abraham waited and waited and waited. 25 years passed. 25 years of watching Sarah's hair turn gray. 25 years of feeling his own body slow down. 25 years of people whispering. Do you still believe that crazy promise? You are 100 years old, Abraham, be realistic. But Genesis 21:5 says Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. 100, not 75 when the promise was made. 100 when it was fulfilled. And here is what gets me. Isaac wasn't just Abraham's son. He was the beginning of a nation. He was part of the lineage that would eventually bring Jesus into the world. Abraham's greatest contribution to human history didn't even begin until he was 100 years old. Or Anna. Luke 2 tells us about her. She was 84 years old, living in the temple, praying, fasting, waiting. 84. Most people would have given up. Most people would have said, "I have waited long enough. God must have forgotten me." But Anna was there in the temple, on the exact day when Mary and Joseph brought baby Jesus for dedication. She was there to see the Messiah with her own eyes. She didn't miss it. She didn't die the year before. She didn't stay home that day because her knees hurt. She was there in position when her Chyros moment arrived. And you are standing on the edge of your Chyros moment right now, not because I say so, not because you feel it, but because God is saying it, and heaven is aligning to confirm it. Listen carefully because this is important. There is a difference between asking God when and asking Him what. Most of your life you have been asking when. When will my breakthrough come? When will my prayers be answered? When will I see the promise fulfilled? But God is asking you what? What are you willing to release? What are you willing to surrender? What are you still holding on to that? I need you to let go of, because here is the truth. Most people miss their moment not because God didn't show up, but because their hands were too full of yesterday to receive what he was offering today. You are carrying timelines that were never yours to carry. You are holding bitterness about how long it has taken. You are dragging regret like chains. Regret over the years you think you wasted, the doors that closed, the people who left. And God is saying, I need you to let that go. Not because it didn't hurt, not because it didn't matter, but because you cannot carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's blessing. So I am going to ask you to pray something with me right now. Say it out loud if you can. Whisper it if you must. But say it, Lord. I release my timelines. I release my regrets. I release my bitterness about how long it has taken. Say it again. I release control. I release the need to understand. I release every voice that told me I am too late. Breathe that out. Let it go, because what you just released created space for what is coming. Now say this, I align my heart with your timing, Lord. I don't want what is fast. I want what is from you. Say it like you mean it. I align my spirit with your plan, even if I don't understand it. Even if it looks different than I imagined. I trust you more than I trust my fear. That is the prayer that shifts atmospheres. That is the declaration that opens doors. And here is the third prayer. This one is a declaration. From this, the 19th of February forward, I will not call myself too late. I am on God's schedule. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am exactly where he needs me to be. One more time with authority, I receive what is coming. I receive the breakthrough. I receive the promise, and I will not apologize for it. Now let me tell you something that will anchor this in reality. Her name was Margaret. She was 78 when I met her, lived alone in a small rent-controlled apartment. Her husband had been gone for 12 years. Her kids barely called. Every morning she would make instant coffee and sit by the window watching the world move without her. She told me once, Pastor, I feel like God already wrote the end of my story. I am just still here. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you have sat in that same chair wondering why you are still breathing when it feels like your purpose already left. But here is what Margaret didn't know. God wasn't done. One Tuesday morning, nothing special, no lightning, no angels. She felt a nudge, just a whisper. Go downstairs and check on Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen was her neighbor. They had nodded at each other in the hallway for years, but never really talked. Margaret almost ignored it. Her knees hurt. The elevator was broken. It would have been easier to stay inside, but she went. And when she knocked on that door, Mrs. Chen opened it with tears streaming down her face. Her daughter had just been diagnosed with cancer. She was alone, terrified, didn't know how to pray. Margaret stepped inside. For the next 6 months, she became that woman's lifeline. She prayed with her, sat with her in hospital waiting rooms, held her hand through the bad news and the good news. And one night in that tiny apartment, Mrs. Chen gave her life to Jesus. Margaret didn't preach a sermon. She didn't have a platform. She didn't go viral. She just said yes one more time and everything changed. Not with fireworks, not with fanfare, but with the kind of quiet power that heaven celebrates. Do you see it now? This isn't just about what is coming to you on the 19th of February. It is about what is coming through you. Your grandchildren are watching. Your neighbors are waiting. The person you will never meet is standing on the other side of your obedience. You think you are too old, too tired, too late. But God is saying, I am not finished writing with your life. You are not the epilogue. You are still part of the main story. Deuteronomy 34:7 says Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. God kept him strong until the very last page of his assignment. And if God did it for Moses, why would he stop with you? You have been carrying something in secret. A gift, a calling, a burden for someone, a dream you buried because you thought the window closed. But what if the 19th of February is the day heaven says, move now? What if the breakthrough you have been praying for isn't just for your relief, but for your release into the next generation's deliverance? If you believe it is not over, if you believe something is coming soon by the hand of Almighty God, type this in the comments right now. I receive my next chapter. Say it, declare it, let the angels record it. And if you want more messages like this, messages that don't treat you like you are invisible, messages that remind you God still knows your name, hit that subscribe button right now. This space is for you. Before you go, I want you to do one more thing. Share this with one person. Someone older, someone tired, someone who has been wondering if God moved on without them. Because when you do, you are not just sharing a video, you are becoming part of their answered prayer. The 19th of February is almost here, and what is coming will prove that your story isn't over. It is just getting started.